Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. We are focusing today on fascial fitness, specifically around this book by a guy called Robert Schleip. I think I've pronounced that correctly. Looking at some lovely whole body movements, working on our fascia for everyday life. And we're going to be using a few bits and pieces of equipment today. Starting off with, I've got a 1 kilogram dumbbell, but I actually did this in class recently using a tin of beans or whatever you like, tin tomatoes. So 500 grams, roughly 400 grams, most of them are, but same sort of thing. We just want to have a little tiny bit of weight. So we're going to have the feet nice and wide, toes pointing out slightly, holding on to your tin, your dumbbell, and just taking a nice relaxed swing down to the floor. If I go sideways, it's like my big swings. Really nice and relaxed. All the way through these exercises that we're going to do today, change it up a little bit. So I realise I've got my left hand on top. I'm going to put my right hand on top now. Change it up, and then now I'm starting to warm up a little bit. I'm going up to the top, looking up to the ceiling, driving the hips forwards, adding the breathing, breath out as I swing down, breath in as I lift up. This is called, hold on, this is called the flying sword, and so these aren't my names, these are Robert's names. In the next class you're going to find out what my names are for them. The next one is called swinging bamboo, and we're looking at taking a crossways pattern. So I'm not holding onto the dumbbell for the moment, I'm just swinging my arm across and up. If I turn to face this way, I'm going to hold the dumbbell in my right hand. I'm going to have my right foot forward, so my feet are slightly staggered, my left foot slightly back. Reaching up to the front right corner and then down to the left corner behind you. Transferring the weight forwards and backwards. So if I turn to face you, if you are still in that right hand with that dumbbell, I will go to the opposite side. Thinking about swinging the arms, swinging the weight, transferring the weight, getting that rotation a little bit around the body. There's no right or wrong with this, it's all just about exploring the movement. Brilliant, let's swap legs and hand for the dumbbell or the tin. And actually when I did this in class the first time, we held on to the roller on the ends. It's really, you could do this with a cushion, holding onto a cushion. Just something to give your let's call it the line of direction, a bit of, just to help your brain focus on that line that you're creating. Wonderful. Okay, so that's just swinging bamboo. I'm going to pop the weight down for a moment. I'm not even sure if I need that again. So I'm going to pop it on there. I'm going to take the roller this time. Again, you could use a cushion. Let's do some figure of 8. Drawing a figure of 8 at the side of your body. So each circle for the figure of 8 is at the side. If I'm on my yoga mat, I'm turning to the short end of my yoga mat, turning my shoulders and stop looking down. Actually, I'm going to keep my head up, but I'm turning to face that short side. So this is a bit like a canoeing action. And again, transferring my weight from side to side. Feels quite nice, feels quite flowy. At the moment, I'm keeping the roller, the cushion. I'm going to get a cushion just to show you what I mean. So if I was holding onto a cushion, I'd be keeping it here quite low. Now let's go up much figure up behind you, turning, looking behind you. There's that diagonal movement again. Nice big movement all the way around. And then in the interest of just warming up the body, this one isn't in the book. Actually, neither is the figure of 8, but the figure of 8 was a moving on from the swinging bamboo. Let's just go gently side to side. I'm holding the cushion up. You could hold the roller up, you could hold the dumbbell up, I guess, and then I'm going to go over to the side, bend my knees and swing all the way around. Over to the other side, bend my knees, relax my head in the middle. Thinking about going sideways, relaxing in the middle. As you come up the other side, come back to sideways. So side, relax everything down and forwards. Look underneath that arm as you come up. One more each way. Checking out your breathing, making sure those knees go over the toes as you're doing that. Wonderful. So just a general warming up of the body. Next up, we're using a chair to stretch the back line of the body. Now you can either go onto the seat of the chair, which will be a little bit stronger than the other position that we're going to use in a moment, but see how you feel. So feet, I'd say inside shoulder width apart. Standing up nice and tall, and then you're going to sort of stick your bottom out a little bit and reach your hands onto the chair seat. And it's like you're doing a flat back here. So I'm hinging forwards. I'm wanting to lengthen my spine. I'm sending my sit bones back. My knees are soft. I'm taking a bit of a sway from side to side. So we're looking at stretching hamstrings. And then start to bend one knee and straighten the other leg. As I'm bending one knee, I'm going to reach that same hand a little bit further forwards on the chair seat and then swap over. And the focus is reaching the hand, so my left hand is forwards more because my left knee is bent, and I'm focusing on sending my right sit bones further back and away from me. Not ever getting stuck in these. They are stretches, but it's classic, or something I'm always going on about. It's that wiggling about stretch. This exact same thing could be done on the back of the chair. So nice and high up, or on the kitchen worktop maybe. What I like about these things is you could just put these into your everyday. So again, I'm bending one knee, I'm reaching forwards, stretching out the back line of the body, having a little, maybe a bit of a sway from side to side. Am I meant to be doing my sides here as well? No, not necessarily in this class. So this is just for the back line of the body, those hamstrings, trying not to be too rounded with the spine. Perfect. We're just going to do a little bit of everything here. Great. We're going to sit on the chair. In fact, I'm going to keep my chair sideways and take like a seated roll down. So sitting in the middle of your seat, hopefully the chair seat is nice and firm. Spine starts upright. We're taking the chin onto the chest. We're keeping that pelvis in neutral for as long as possible. We're rolling down through to the floor, relaxing the hands, relaxing the arms, relaxing the head. When you're there, nod your head, shake your head, wiggle your shoulders around a little bit, and then stack the vertebrae to roll back up. Again, this is not quite what's in the book. What's in the book is something called an African bend, but we're going to build up to that. I'm sort of turning this into a bit of a Pilates exercise. So a seated roll down is a great thing to do just to mobilise your spine. Rolling all the way down again. When you get there this time, have a quick look. Take those hands forward a little bit and then just lift your hips
off of the chair completely. Now we're more into the African bend type movement. Sit your bottom down again, roll back up, and then let's take the chair away. So that hopefully should remind you of your roll down. Let's do the same thing again from standing, taking the roll down, softening the knees, hanging from your waist, and then here comes the African bend and the sort of swing. If again I'll turn sideways, staying where you are, nice and relaxed, hanging from your waist almost. Take hold of an elbow in each hand and just have a little swing from side to side. You will feel that stretching at the backs of your legs, the backs of your thighs, the hamstrings. And then maybe just let the arms hang to come back up, lead with the head and coming all the way up. That's a bit fast actually. So you could do a relax all the way down, leaving the head last, and lead with the head to come back up. So you get this sort of this springy action, and even when we're here, when you're hanging from your waist and just going from side to side, there's that nice springing action as well as the stretch in the lower back. Leading with the head, coming up with more of a chest lift than anything else. That's the African bends. Great, we are going to swing the leg. Again, we want the chair for support, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a chair, but the most important part of this, and this really does make a difference, is to stand on a step or an elevated surface. So for today, I have my yoga blocks, 2 yoga blocks. I could be next to the wall, that's fine, or you could just stand on a stair, on the lower step of the stairs. It's just to give this swinging leg as much freedom as possible. So I'm using the chair for support. I've got 2 yoga blocks, so I'm quite high up. 1 would suffice actually, I don't really know why I've got 2. But essentially I want you to just let that leg swing. Coming forwards, you won't feel as much of a stretch as when it swings back. But the fact that we're not anywhere near the floor, even if I straighten my leg, even if I try and touch the floor, my toes don't touch the floor. So perhaps this is a good idea to have 2 yoga blocks. But especially swinging back, I'm getting a lovely opening out at the front of my hips. As we all know, hip flexors need to be stretched every day. Just moving everything around, keeping the body fairly upright, but not going too fixed. The standing knee is slightly soft. And it's quite hard work on the buttock, as you know. I'm going to swap legs, turn to face the other way. Always the standing leg will be doing some work. I'm just popping my hand on my hip, trying to keep my awareness more than anything of my pelvis. So if you round everything and then arch everything, you're not going to get the stretch. We want this sort of this leg to be dangling. So it's as relaxed as possible. The idea is that we're not really using our muscles. We're not trying to place the leg forwards and then backwards. We're letting it swing, letting gravity do the job. It should feel quite nice. If I just thought another thing, you could swing the arm, same arm, but just in the opposite direction, and again that feels quite nice, and that will just connect with the fascia higher up on the body. Brilliant. We are standing, swinging the leg, foot on the chair. Okay, similar thing. Don't need the block anymore, or the steps, or whatever it is that you might have been using. I'm going to go this way around with the chair. So I've got the back of my chair, back of my hand at the back on the chair for support. The same foot on as the hand that's closest to the back of the chair is going to be my standing leg to start, and I'm going to put my other leg up on the chair. This is the easier version of this. So you've got this holding onto the chair for a bit of support. If you didn't want to worry about that, you could just put the leg up on the chair and maybe have a wall on next to you for support. And then we're going to hinge forwards, hinging from the hips, not allowing your back to collapse like this. In fact, if you do that, if you collapse your back and round over, there's not really much of a stretch going on. You want to feel that tension, again in the backs of the legs, hinging at the hip, and then move about within it. I'm going to go back to this way so that I've got the bit of support there. Hinging forwards and coming up, finding where the sort of biting point. So for me, pretty much, there's tension all the way through. It gets more intense as I pitch forwards, and then play about with either a straight leg or a bent leg. So when the leg is bent, when my knee is bent and I rest my chest on my thigh, that's still a good hamstring stretch. Coming up, hinging into it. If my leg is a bit straighter, I'm more restricted in how far I can go forwards with my chest because I'm trying to keep my back in neutral. Standing leg is bent again, so just soften the effect on there. And then start to just circle maybe the arm. So same arm, if you're holding on to the back of the chair, same arm as leg, taking a big circle, going the other way. This is all part of the movement plan. If you were here and you didn't need that support, just maybe swinging the arms, whoa, and then forward. So swinging the arms opposite, or there we go, circling the other arm, the opposite arm, and changing direction. The idea is to move around. Feel, so every single different position and slight different angle I put my body in feels slightly different in where it's stretching. It feels like you're sort of targeting the whole lot, which is great. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to stay where I am. So same hand as the standing leg on the back of the chair if you need the chair for support. I would suggest maybe starting there, finding that biting point, getting everything warmed up a little bit. I've got my foot flexed. Again, how does it feel if you don't pull your toes up towards you? So for me, with the foot flexed, toes pulling up towards my face, I'm getting a stretch at the calf and the back of the knee as well. I'm going to bend that knee a little bit more. Each time I'm moving, I'm breathing because I'm talking, I'm trying to just keep moving and flowing rather than going, oh, that's really quite uncomfortable and getting stuck there, and then holding your breath. So we want to flow with it. Let's take the same arm, forwards, opening up the shoulders. Remember with the fascia, you're wanting to reach as far away as possible. All the way, so all the way behind you, all the way up. Not worrying too much about perfect alignment. This is why I use all this stuff in my warm-up for my Pilates classes, and then when we get to the Pilates section we want to be much more fine-tuned with our perfect alignment, but we can do that because we've already been to the extremes, if that makes sense. So I've turned the chair the other way so I can free up my opposite arm and just taking some movements there. You might just want to swing the arms down. I'm going to go up and over. There really is no right or wrong with this. I've just realised I haven't really done anything going towards the corner. I've gone straight forwards. You could circle the arms around, and you need to watch your balance on that one, Mandy. Great, okay, that's the last thing with the chair for the moment, I think, yeah. So a couple of nice things to do if you happen to be working from home, you're sitting on your chair, you think, oh, I just need a little bit of a stretch, get your foot up on the chair, do some of those African bends, those roll downs, stretch your hamstrings out or the side seams of your back on using the back of the chair. Now we're going to use the wall in this next section. And I called this, I don't remember what he calls it actually, but I'm going to call it Standing Trampoline Chest Press. And essentially what we want to do
is use the wall to bounce off of. So we're going to warm up all our chest area, and again we're going to place the hands and the arms in different positions to warm everything up. I'm going to face this way to start with. I might go to that wall as well. Facing away from you, being fairly close to the wall, feet hip width apart, and just start by actually having your hands up against the wall and just push into the wall. I'm going to go this way, it's easier. I'm going to push into my door, imagine it's the wall. And imagine, that's a little bit too away. Imagine that you're trying to move the wall. So push and hold and press and hold and feel those muscles in your chest and the front of your body, your core hopefully a little bit as well, firing up, and then relax. I'm not doing a push up. I'm not trying to push into the wall and then push away. I'm actually just trying to push the wall. So it's an isometric contraction in the muscles in your chest, just as a little bit of a warm up. Leaning, pitching into the wall, trying to move the wall or the door, and then relaxing. And then the next thing we're going to do is imagine that the wall is a trampoline, and you're going to come into the wall and lift away, and push in and push away. And this should be really nice and light. If you find yourself going too much like hard work, which is why I've called it the trampoline chest press as opposed to wall press ups. I'm going to face this way again. Once you've got going with this, start to change where your fingers are facing. So maybe both facing inwards, both facing outwards, one up, one down. Narrow on a straight line, nice and low. Keep it light. Imagine you're bouncing on a trampoline, but you don't weigh anything. You hardly weigh anything at all. So it's very light and floaty almost. But change those angles around. Quite good fun. I like doing this sort of thing. Great, so that's our standing trampoline chest presses. Into stretching the shoulders. Standing level with a wall or a door, and starting with your hand that you're going to stretch that side on the shoulder, with the hand sort of level with your shoulder, fingers facing up maybe. I'm comfortably close to the wall, nothing much is happening. I'm going to go a tiny bit further away actually. I want that hand flat if you can get it. And even just being here, I can feel a little bit of a stretch at the front of my shoulder, but I'm going to keep my hand where it is, and I'm just going to turn my body away. Turning my head, turning my torso, turning my feet, going to face away from the wall on a slight angle. And this will totally depend on your body and how that feels. Holding it for a moment and breathing. I'm going to keep my hand at this level, but this time I'm going to turn my fingers back so they're facing behind me. Ooh, and that's a little bit tighter. And just holding it and breathing. Moving within it a little bit if you would like to. Maybe fingers down. Oh yeah. And you'll see what I mean. It just targets a slightly different area of the muscles. And if you think about your shoulder, the shoulders and the hips, very complicated muscle, you know, that whole junction of the joint and everything, and all the tendons that are all going through that space together. It's no wonder that you need to sort of change the angle a little bit. I'm taking my arm up now, so I'm starting with my arm at right angles to my body, perpendicular to the wall. Hand up much higher, and again I'm going to turn. So that's wrapping around a little bit more underneath. My fingers are facing upwards. Breathing, if it starts to feel uncomfortable or twingy anywhere, then just change it, come out of it. Same thing, fingers facing backwards. A little bit tighter. Fingers facing down, I can't really do up there. And then the last one, Have the hand low, turn the shoulders away. I don't know what the other hand was doing there. Maybe turn off, so this time, really shaking it up here. I've got my fingers down, but I've turned my palm the other way. So I have my thumb, just turn my palm the other way. And then, so now, interestingly, my shoulder has more movement here. So now I've got to practically turn my body away from the wall, 180 degrees away. But again, I'm feeling that, have a little shoulder roll. I'm going to do the next lot here. So sideways on, hand level with your shoulder height. The most comfortable, natural thing is to just have your fingertips facing up, or your fingers facing up, turning away and breathing. Moving within it. You could wiggle your shoulder around. If anything feels particularly tight, particularly uncomfortable, hold it, breathe into it. Maybe just move a little bit within that stretch. Fingers facing backwards. Definitely, that goes right into the bicep now, and across the inside of the elbow. I'm feeling that, and actually across the palm of my hand. Slightly strange. Fingers facing down. That's more uncomfortable at the front of my shoulder. Breathing, still getting that sensation in the palm of my hand. Arm up nice and high, fingers up to start with. Turning, again I can go a little bit further here. Trying to be aware that you're not twisting or tweaking your neck. So making sure everything else is quite relaxed. Fingers facing back. Maybe fingers facing forwards here. Yeah, that's tipped me over a little bit, but again, feeling a slightly different sensation. And then hand low, so I can turn away from this one a little bit more. Keeping the weight nice and even. I'm going to put my hand that way, so little finger down. And again, as I said before, I can turn away much more this time. Feeling that all the way around down the side of my back as well. Perfect. Using the wall to stretch our calves, which is going to prepare us for the next thing. As you have probably heard me say, the fascia in your Achilles, your heel, and the fascia on your feet is very strong, very dense, very tough. So we need to stretch this and keep it nice and active all the time. I'm starting with one foot going back. I'm pushing into the wall a little bit, or just leaning into the wall. But basically I want this back leg straight, the heel down, and I'm stretching this leg that's closest to you. If I was facing you this way, I'd be here. Watch that heel doesn't roll in. Keep it nice and straight, so in line with the lines on my mat. I'm going to go to the other side, swapping sides. So this will depend on your Achilles length. You might be able to get your foot much further back and still have your heel on the floor. Mine won't go there at all, so that's because my Achilles are quite tight. Try not to be doing this. Try not to be doing the bottom sticking out version. That doesn't really stretch anything. You want a diagonal line from the heel to the top of the head. Good, so this was with a straight leg. We're going to repeat exactly the same, come into exactly the same position, everything as it was on the last time round, and then just slightly release your knee so that your heel just pops up off the floor, and you'll feel it, a very strong stretch at the top of your sock, just in that Achilles, and it stretches the other part of your calf. Calf is in two halves, if you like, not quite halves, but two calf muscles. This targets the other one. Swapping legs, starting nice and straight, exactly the same as last time round, and then just slightly soften the knee,
Very strong stretch, almost like a burning stretch. If you get any sharp pains, then just ease off it, try and go again. Maybe circle the ankles around a little bit, keep that blood flow going there. Wonderful. Okay, this is one of the most favourite things. This is the light switch kung fu. Now that's exactly from the book. So a lot of the stuff in the book is encouraging you to just play around, go through all these different angles. So you can do something where you're going up and down the steps. It's like a step dance where you're changing the angle of your feet, you're rolling through your feet. This is a similar thing where we're wanting to just stand on one leg and reach out and just start quite low. You could go to the chair if you wanted to. So I'm going for the door. I'm aiming for my light switch, which is there. That might be too much for you, but alternating legs, lifting the leg up, just playing about with. So find a level where you're comfortable, and then see if you can go up a little bit higher. And then maybe try turning slightly to the side. Set yourself up well each time. Ultimately, we're aiming to switch the light on and off with this movement. So off and on and off and on. I did have a little practice of this before I started filming. Same thing, I'm going to go slightly sideways. This is where it becomes a little bit more kung fu. Okay, didn't make that one. So it's a question of balance. The super advanced one for this, and I'm not necessarily going to turn my light on and off because I might fall over today, but it's to be facing away, look, and then lift the leg and touch. So your body will have to adjust to adapt to all of these things. So I started quite low, I started comfortable. I'm going up to the door handle, which is a little bit higher. I'm going to give the light switch one go. Yes, and I need it back on again. One more on the other side. As always with the balance, whoa, a double switch there. As always with the balance, one side is better than the other. So that's the light switch kung fu. Good fun. Okay, moving into some double heel reverberations. This isn't in the book. This comes from Bones for Life, looking at our density in our bones and how when we create a bit of impact and we're sort of taking a double reverberation, because the second one is very relaxed. They're both very relaxed, but it's not a land, it's a so my heels are coming up very slightly, if you make this sort of weirdo noise, you'll realise whether you're relaxing or not enough into it. We're looking to just get that bit of impact through the heels to build up and to warm up for the thing that is in the book, which is all about your the fascia in your heels. And that's, I've turned this into, well, he basically recommends skipping. So skipping is an amazing thing for that impact, for the coordination, for keeping your fascia in your heels nice and vibrant and lubricated. But I've turned this into a low impact skip, which has one of these heel drops. Heel drop step, heel drop step, heel drop step, heel drop step. Ba-da, ba-da, da-da. So it's like a lazy skip. And you're sort of setting up the rhythm. So this is me full impact skipping. It's difficult when you haven't really got much space, but I love skipping. I'd rather skip than run. I'm not a big fan of running, but here's our lazy version, getting that, it's lazy, but it's getting that impact each time. Quite good fun.
So low impact skipping. There we go. Wonderful. We are going down to the floor and we're going to use the roller next. See you down there. We're going to start with the calves. So just starting, in fact we'll do one leg at a time. So one foot bent, leaning back and just lifting the hips up and rolling up and down that bulky love of the calf. And as we were doing when we were swinging the leg on the step, you want to not be using your muscles to make this happen. So I'm really relaxing my leg. My leg is completely relaxed on the roller. It's straight just because of the position I'm in, but I'm turning my leg in my hip socket a little bit from side to side. Just again targeting slightly different areas. For me, this is actually really quite uncomfortable. Yeah. So rolling forwards and backwards. Ooh, and then if you find a particular point that's particularly uncomfortable, set your hips down, just keep that leg really relaxed, hold it there, and now circle your foot at the ankle, but keeping the leg really relaxed. My leg is moving a little bit, but because the action of moving my foot, circling my foot around at the ankle, is making the shape of my calf change. But what I'm actually doing is creating a massage through that fascia from moving my foot, so from moving the extremity. Ooh, and that's quite strong. And then I'm going to go on to the other leg. So you could do both legs at the same time, but I'm choosing to just push that roller away. The thing with the roller work is just get yourself comfortable. Don't worry too much about, don't be in a really awkward position, but you need to target the muscles that you want to get to, or the area that you want to get to, and that the body part that's on the roller is the most important part, if that makes sense. Where the rest of your body is, just make sure you're comfortable. So I'm turning the leg from the hip socket. My leg is as relaxed as possible. I'm not on purpose keeping my leg straight. I'm not pointing my feet or flexing my feet. The leg is just completely relaxed. This really is quite uncomfortable for me. My calves have always been an area of tightness. But this is a good thing to do. And I'm just allowing the weight of the leg to do the work. And then I'm going to stay in an area, I'm going to rest my hips down. So quite hard work on the upper body, but good in the sense that you're incorporating the whole body. I'm just going to hold on that slightly tender spot and now circle the foot at the ankle, which is basically changing the shape of my calf muscle as it goes. I'm not consciously trying to do anything here, so the leg is moving around a little bit, and it's not too uncomfortable. It's not as uncomfortable as it was just now. So the first movement is a direct movement, targeting the calf muscles all the way in and out. This is an indirect movement because we're keeping the leg on the roller still. The muscles that we're targeting, we're keeping those, that we're not moving that around against the roller. So we're indirectly working the fascia and all that connective tissue. And again, really good to be mobilising through the feet. I'm a little bit collapsed in my upper body. I've just noticed I should be sitting up slightly taller. So if you've got wonderfully loose calves and this really doesn't, and you're like, what the hell is she going on about? That doesn't hurt me at all. A way to make it a little bit more effective is to just rest your other leg on top of the one that you're on top, which will add extra weight to that movement. And I'm not even sure if I can. In fact, you could just be there and just bend and straighten, so with the hips down. Yeah. Another thing to do is to open and close and sort of slide across. And now I'm doing both legs at the same time. So I'm trying to relax my legs as much as possible. And just really let the friction against the roller make the movement happen. And it's like having a deep tissue massage. And if you go below the bulkiest part of your calf, that will feel slightly different again. So we don't really want to we don't need to work behind the back of the knee or at the heel. It's the bulky part of the muscle that you want to work on there. Great. Let's have a little look at rolling in the upper back area. So you're going to place the roller sort of at the base of your shoulder blades, with your legs bent, and really importantly, your head supported in your hands. Interlace the fingers, hands around the back of the head, almost cup the base of your skull a little bit with the heels of your palms. Keep those elbows forwards, although that's not too, I'm slipping a bit today on this one, okay. And then lifting the hips up, rolling back and forth. So actually saying about keeping the elbows forwards is not necessarily what we want. You want your head to be supported all the way through. But actually if you open the elbows out and then bring them in and then maybe go a little bit more onto one side than the other, you will just feel it targeting slightly different muscles. As you bring your elbows all the way in, it will definitely open up between the shoulder blades. Whereas when you open out, you'll feel more the outside edge of your shoulder blades. The important thing is to keep your head supported so you're not straining the neck, and also maybe take a little bit of a pelvic tilt here. So bracing and working in those abdominals. Some people really don't like this at all. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you're a little bit curved in that, a little bit kyphotic in that upper back. So that might not be for you. Here's a nice one, a Pilates exercise called threading the needle, and just, we're not putting any pressure into the roller at all, but it's really nice to have the movement of the roller. Have a little look. So we're going to go, I've turned my mat to be really sideways and square to the camera. So square box position, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, right angle at the hip, right angle at the shoulder. I'm going to take my back arm and it's threading the needle essentially. I'm putting the roller close to the hand that's staying where it is, putting the back of the hand on the roller. I'm going to bend my elbow on the supporting side and reach and roll the roller through. And then once I've got as far as I can, I'm going to just tweak it a little bit in and out. I've turned my head towards the camera and then coming back up. So set yourself up so that you're turning towards the camera. So roll it if you have one on the side here. So this is our classic threading the needle. In fact, one more thing I'm just going to show you here. So from the side, you could see, that my knees stayed underneath my hips. No leaning back with the hips and no rounding the spine. If you round the spine, you'll hardly get any rotation. So stay at the right angle there and then almost arch the back, tilt the spine, and then you'll get a good rotation. From the side here, the other thing that's a cheat is maybe to lean sideways. So you want your hips to stay exactly where they are. You're releasing the arm, you're turning the head. I feel like I'm sticking my bottom out a little bit. Hopefully hips are staying level. And then once you're there,
2 or 3 little tweaks and then roll it back in. Stay on the same side. I'm going to turn around to the other side. So from all fours, roller close to the supporting hand, back of the fingers actually, in the middle of the roller. Keep everything square. Turn your head. This is the one where it's like you're taking your ear down towards the floor. So bending the supporting arm. It's like a one-leg press up. It's quite strong. If you want to reset yourself with the hand down so that you know you've come back to nice and square, then reaching through, finding that end position and then just tweaking it a little bit. Breathing, wiggling about within it, coming back to a neutral. I feel like I was leaning back a little bit there. I'm going to do one more here. 2 or 3 on each side, thinking about that technique. Oh, yes. And coming all the way up. Wonderful. One more thing, again, no pressure on the roller as such, but just it's a nice something for the movement. So going from a kneeling high position, a tall kneeling position, holding onto the ends of the roller, taking the chin onto the chest, taking a roll down. The roller hits the floor. In fact, I'm going to bring my toes together, my big toes together, my knees have gone a little bit wider. Roller touches the floor. I'm going to itsy bitsy spider the roller out. As I do that, I'm taking my hips back onto my heels, ending up in our position where we are quite often find ourselves here for this lovely kneeling, hips back on heels, and then you can take your sway from side to side, and it feels really nice with this bit of extra height that the roller creates. So I've got the heels of my palm on the roller. I'm taking my head and my shoulders from side to side, stretching down that side seam. You could turn the head like the hungry cat. And then to come back in, strongly draw your belly button in, tuck your pelvis under, fingertips that will be on the end of the roller, itsy bitsy spider, all the way back so the roller touches your knees, then pick it up and unravel, and let's do that one more time. Here we go. Chin onto the chest, roll down. Try and keep that pelvis in neutral for as long as possible. Once you start to twiddle the roller away with your fingertips, then you can take the hips back on the heels. Then roll the roller out. Actually, here's another one I just remembered. This is really nice as well. It's like using the roller like a rolling pin. So I'm going from my wrist to my elbow, which again, if I change the position of my hand, so if I go thumbs up, I'm going more on the outside edge of my forearm. If I try and turn my palms around, it's slightly different again. Turning the thumbs down, rolling through with the head, just allowing the hips to lift up. This is really lovely actually. So we're massaging the fascia in the forearms. All of those holding on to your mouse forever and clicking with that right hand. We never really stretch these areas out. This should feel nice. I'm going to stay nice and wide, hands on the roller, swaying from side to side, even just turning your shoulders, moving, getting everything going. I've done a little circle now. I'm going crazy to finish. As always, our wonderful wiggles around and coming up to seated, little shoulder roll, whatever you feel like doing. If you feel like doing some sea anemones, actually remember this is all the same stuff. Fascia, keep it active, keep it mobile. Thank you so much for joining me.